here we go.
He
Okay.
ran off with the money.
Yeah,
Just
all $400 of it. Woo! So welcome everyone, the new board. I'll start with Joe, and he is, for those of you who've not met him, he is new to our area as about a year and a half ago. Is that right, Joe?
Sorry, I keep going on mute. Yeah, about a year and a half, almost a year and a half.
Yeah, and Joe and Kiki have, many of you have met Kiki. Joe is Kiki's husband, and Joe is now Area 3 rep and has been working very hard on building us our new website and all kinds of other stuff. And I just, it's been tremendous. And let's see, and then Carrie, who's in the middle of my screen, I don't know about everybody else, but she is Area 5 rep and doing our newsletter and our signs. So if you haven't met her before, say hi to Carrie.
Hello.
Okay, so I've already taken roll call from the images I see here, so I don't think we need to go through that. So the purpose of today's meeting, I have a couple of quick things to ask, but we're going to start with electing officers. I'm going to start with secretary. So Nancy Griffin wasn't able to continue. She's got all kinds of big projects she's working on. Is there anybody who is chomping at the bit to be secretary? Which mostly just entails taking notes. All right, let's not all jump up at once. So does Carrie's trying to hide. So what does anybody have ideas on how we're going to deal with how we should deal with meeting minutes at the monthly meetings?
I think we should take turns or use AI.
We could do both.
I like the second idea, do voice to text or something like that. Save a bunch of time.
And one suggestion is that the city was going to this format where they basically made the meeting minutes the video recordings, and then the only thing they would capture maybe was action minutes. So if there's somebody who's taking an action, that would be the only thing they'd capture. Otherwise, they just refer to the video. So I don't know if
I
that
like
helps.
that idea.
Yeah.
That's really
Gosh, who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
Yeah, action items, and what was and motions, right? Motions, action items, and attendance, I guess, because it's not always easy to tell. Roll call. So let's take a vote. Who likes that idea? Hands up, either by icon or by physical hand, please. All right, that looks like unanimous.
So is it a combination?
The only thing that I would say is, the combination, because we do AI notes or for our meetings at times, and you do have to, someone has to go through and read them. They're not perfect.
Yeah, so I think
it's never perfect.
So let's just do the video and the action items and the motions, right?
Okay.
That's what we're voting on, I think, unless I misunderstood. Video and then writing the roll call, action items, and motions. Is that good with everybody? Do I hear any opposition to that? Because boy, would that be wonderful not to deal with meeting minutes. Okay. I don't know how we're gonna, well, we have a YouTube channel, so I can upload them there, and then we could just link to it so it doesn't make it too heavy on the website.
Maybe we just rotate through the group in some random order. No, everyone shares it.
Yeah,
Shares what, Nancy?
I think that's great.
I'm sorry, Nancy, shares what?
Shares the load, just rotate through the group.
To do what exactly?
To take the notes, the action items,
to
and
capture the action items in the in the motion.
The abbreviated. Okay, that sounds good. So if it's okay with all of you, I'll unless somebody else wants to do it, I'll assign everybody a month, and you guys can exchange between yourselves if that doesn't work. Any objections? Okay, Roger Gray is saying BRB.
Be right back.
Oh, all right, thank you. My network connection at the hotel, not great. Keeping my video off. Okay. Thank you. I will, thank you, Roger. Okay, so that's it for the meeting notes, in terms of taking them. Okay, next is share taking, okay, we talked about that. And, oh, sorry, how did I get off track? So we talked about secretary, that's how we got off track, and then we went to meeting minutes. So the other position is, positions are, the other main position is treasurer. And, unless anybody has an objection, there's Roger, unless anybody has an objection or wants to do it, John Thies is, offering to continue.
Wonderful.
I
do
don't know if
that.
we need to take a motion on that, but I motion that John Thies is our continuing treasurer.
I
And you have
second.
Seconds, all in favor? All again?
I,
Okay, unanimous. Boy, we could elect him to all kinds of things since he's not here. Let's see, and have I forgotten anything else? Okay. So the next item, are there any other board positions that anybody wanted to volunteer for?
So what do we have left? Just vice chair?
I think that's right. I think that's right. But, I think we're
I'd
gonna-
expressed interest in doing vice chair, and I think it's better for me to spend a little more time with the organization before I jump into the fire of vice chair. So I'd like to just start with Area 3 rep and go from there. All right.
Sounds great. Yes,
Okay.
totally understand.
Thanks.
Let's see, Trello. How
Is
is
there anyone
everybody?
else that wants vice chair? You guys?
Sorry.
Carrie, how about you?
No, I don't want it.
So really, how I see vice chair and how it's been in the past is really just supporting the chair in whatever way the two of them discuss. So I'm getting a lot of support from each of you in terms of managing your committees and your responsibilities, and that's been huge. And everybody's getting better about communicating and touching base, so I don't have to herd cats, which is wonderful. And I appreciate it. So, things are running pretty smoothly right now, and yeah. So so we're looking at moving from our current Trello because very soon, they are going to turn that into a rather expensive, paid system. And we're in the midst of looking at other, Joe and Carrie and I and whoever else wants to be in that, at another program that would probably be similar to Trello. But I would love to get feedback from everybody as to how you're feeling about it, how you're feeling about this communication system. Are there barriers? Is it difficult? Any feedback on that?
I think it's a nice tool. It's helpful.
Great.
I like it without the emails. It's just the easy place. You go on and respond to the issue.
I like the idea of a board, but I wasn't all that thrilled with Trello. I found it kind of confusing and hard to track.
Okay. That's good to know. Hopefully the next one will be a little more intuitive, and we'll go from there. But thanks for your feedback. Okay, signs. Anybody have anything else to say about that? Okay.
Hey, sorry, Frederick, I lost my connection. I missed the first part of that discussion about Trello. I heard up to what Meg was saying. But was there anything else being talked about?
I was asking how people were feeling about Trello and the system and communicating and everybody was kind of, let's see, saying that it was a good system, kept everything in one area, which is great. So future people could see what had happened.
Mhm.
And, but Meg thought it was a little, it was not as intuitive. Would that be a good summary?
Yeah,
It's not as intuitive as she would have liked. So as we
Got
look
it. Okay.
as we look into new systems, we'll consider that and see what
Yep.
we can do for that. Did you want to add anything else, Joe?
No, no.
Okay.
The only thing I add is it's pretty disappointing that Trello did what they did, because that existing business or that existing setup has been in place for 10 years. They had never changed that, and then suddenly, that's out of the blue, they just really sideswiped and just really there was a big disruption across their entire ecosystem. A lot of people are pretty upset with what they've done, but they all got to everyone's got to make money, I suppose. But now we went all in on this, and now we got a little bit slapped in the face with not a whole lot of recourse. So I think we'll find another system that'll work well for us, and we'll adapt.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not something that we're all loving moving from one to another.
Yep.
So anybody have anything else on that? Okay, I'm gonna move on to signs, and Carrie will speak if I've forgotten anything, because she's really the one who's in charge of this and has brought great ideas. And Kiki designed them. They're quite beautiful. Okay, so uh, I think Carrie or I have mentioned that we're getting, Carrie's idea was to get everybody at least one sign for every PNA area and to have that sign move around like once a month within your PNA area. And possibly we would have an update, a change of the messaging of the replaceable part in the middle, no more than once a month. Is that right, Carrie? Yeah, okay. So so I'm wondering, how is everybody feeling about that system? If it's too much for you, do you have somebody in your PNA area that can take care of the sign for you? How's everybody feeling about this?
I think it's perfectly reasonable. I have my list of addresses of people that said, "Okay, I'll put the sign on my on my property," which is great for me. It's like, okay, I don't have to go figure it out.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
one of the hardest, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. So the easy one is on my own property. So that's always the one to start with. But
Yeah.
I don't see any issue with it. I think it's perfectly reasonable to go, change the messaging once a month if that's what's available.
Wonderful. And
Frederic?
Roger, I know your area is a little bit difficult because most of it is an HOA who doesn't allow signs. But near your area, I think, is it Carrie? You're taking care of Roger's sign?
No, he put it up over by Sunny Hill and Green Tree.
Okay. Okay, well, let us know, Roger, if you are running out of places to put them and need us to support you in finding other places. I know it's
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. The HOA, I brought it up with them again, and we've got a couple people that are being HOA Nazis. I call them the Fourth Reich. So
that happens, but I realize that most of us don't like going and knocking on doors asking if people will post. So one of the things that I can offer is that you can contact Carrie or I, and we will look at the newsletter subscribers and see who is subscribing in your area and who tends to read the newsletters more often, because I think that carries over to probably being more civic minded and more likely to be willing to post.
I think Rob has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, Frederick, I was just gonna say, yeah, you mentioned in our area, we actually have three homeowners associations. There's the I think it's called Ridge Lake, between us and Bellaterra and Lake Ridge, and there's the Atherton Heights above us, and then of course our Bellaterra. And so, as others was mentioning, I mean the HOA CCNRs, I mean they're not bad, you know, they're there to protect the reason that the residents there. I mean there was things that were done, you know, we packed the homes in tighter than what is normally allowed in the development code. And so, you know, I think we got to be sensitive to some of those CCNRs. So in our case, you know, there is explicit language in there regarding signs, but I think as long as we're reasonable, that's what I was doing. You know, I'll put it out when there's like meeting notices, and I was putting it in the common areas. I don't think too many people will complain, but kind of my opinion is if we constantly put it out and we're changing the signs, then yeah, that's going to rub a little bit of the wrong way in the HOA. So my plan is to try to maybe not put it out regularly, but especially when we have important events like a meeting notice or whatever, I think the residents really appreciate being notified for that, and they won't object too much. But you know, constantly keeping it out and then changing it, yeah, I think there's people in the HOA that would have concerns. So that's kind of my plan, is to, you know, try to put it out, especially for meeting notices.
So your area is 11. It's fairly big. It could be moved around without feeling
Yeah.
obnoxious, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess that's another option. If we can find areas that are outside of the HOAs, then
Yeah.
certainly those could go up. If for the HOA, you know, right now I have one sign, but if we have more signs, yeah, we could look at putting those out outside of the HOAs, and then just kind of be kind of sensitive to the placement inside the HOAs.
So I see Carrie's hand is up, but are you suggesting, Rob, that you have one sign that you only put out when there's meeting notices, and
Yeah.
then the other sign is a floater?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And the total signs I have right now, by the way, is only one.
Yeah, he only
Oh,
has
yeah.
one.
But
So-
if I get some more, I
so
can
what-
spread it out and try to put them outside of the HOA. Sorry.
Yeah, what I was going to say is if you guys have signs that you want moved into other areas because you don't feel comfortable posting them because of HOAs, like we have spots that don't have signs right now that we could take your, is it 10? Are you area 10, Rob?
I'm 11.
11. Okay, we could take 11 and put it over somewhere until we have a notice that you want everybody to know about, and then we can bring it back to you. I don't mind doing
Aren't-
that at all. because,
Aren't
like,
there public areas, like the two signs that I placed were kind of, what do you call it? City property, like on a
In the
street
right-of-ways?
corner?
I would have to check the development code on that too, but I think there's restrictions against that.
Well, it
Even in
worked-
the
it
public
worked when I
right-of-ways.
did it,
Yeah.
but
It depends-
anyway. kind
It's
of
kind of like the
land-
HOA.
like-
I think it depends on if people complain or not. And then
Yeah,
how much are we really pushing it, you know?
yeah.
I think Sunny Hill, is that your HOA, Nancy?
I'm in the Sunny Hill neighborhood generally, but my home is not in an HOA.
Okay.
So I put it
'Cause I
near
think they're pretty
the
chill.
cemetery outside of Sunny Hill. But in the strip next to the street where it doesn't really belong to anyone, between the sidewalk and the street.
Mhm.
And that's an example of, it's kind of, you know, unowned land. No one really takes care of it. It's where the weeds grow.
I know there's been a problem with the realtors who've lost their signs on the right, when they put them on the right of way. And they
Yeah,
have to go
that's
pay
the
$100 to get
right-of-way.
them back.
So anyway, there's options like that.
Yeah,
But,
but, and we've had our signs taken from,
Yeah,
by
I just
this,
worry if the signs are up constantly, people stop looking at them.
yeah, we
Because
don't
they're
want
there all
that.
the time. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, I read that last week, and they don't even glance that direction. But
Yeah,
if
they don't
weeds
see the
become-
middle part as different, like unless it's
Well,
like.
I know that, but
Yeah, yeah.
they, you know how when you're driving fast, you're like, oh, I saw that sign. You don't really read it anymore. So I think if it goes out and comes back, goes out and comes back, then maybe it will catch more attention.
Perry, wasn't the idea to move it around the P&A area? Not keep it in the same spot?
Yeah,
No,
we
but I
talked
think
about that.
people start recognizing it. Like a political sign, you see it and then you ignore it because you've seen it
Right.
before.
Exactly.
Not that
Right.
it's in a different area, but you just recognize the blue.
Well, I think the cool thing about this scenario though is that we're updating the messaging and we should see if we should see some sort of uptick as a result of what we're doing. For example, if we would have had we have to sit down and plan ahead for at least like 2 or 3 more messages. We have them in the can, so to speak. So we're not just like rushing to get something out and to have it in the can and we can put it out. But I feel like if we put the sign up or subscribe, then if we see an uptick in that, then we're like, oh, it's working. If we don't see an uptick in it, then, oh, people aren't looking at it anymore. And then we can start like talking about that kind of like what's next.
Well, and the other thing too is to change the color of the middle piece
Yes.
so that there's something that it is different.
Yeah, we've been looking at doing that as well.
So Rob added a note
Yeah, good
saying
suggestion,
you
though.
can't leave a sign permanently in the right of way. So
Rob.
No, that's just yeah. But we've all agreed, I mean, that you don't want it in the same place anyways. Even if it's different messaging, we need to move the sign around. And Palisades is so big that I don't think it needs to be obnoxious.
Yeah, but I like their suggestion about changing what the middle looks like. So it's like, oh, that's different. Like, and I do like that suggestion for sure. And when we create the next like 2 or 3 versions, we can take that into account.
So let's just pilot this for 3 months, evaluate it. Summer's coming up, people are in and out, and then we can revisit this. Does that sound good?
yeah,
Right.
Do you
I
think
like
that's
that.
enough time? I'm just curious. I actually don't have an opinion. Do you think that's enough time to pilot it? 3 months?
We could do 6. That's great.
so I mean, we just put out the signs that say sign up. Have we seen more signups?
Oh no, those really got like delivered. Like I feel like that just kind of got to everybody Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
I
So
haven't
we'll-
even put
but-
mine up yet.
So next time we
done it.
can see if there were any actions from it.
Yeah, and so like who has 2 signs? Nancy, you have 2 signs, but they're on either side of the neighborhood. Chuck, do you have 2 signs too? Okay. Do you need 2 or do you want just 1?
At the moment, I've got one out, and the other one I rotate around.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
If
Okay,
you need
cool.
one of my signs for something else, you can take it.
Yeah, I might grab one if and just put it up at the pool because there's going to be some maintenance days going on there for a green tree pool. I'm just trying to think of like
How about if I put it at Green Tree Pool and then you can own it from there if you have other ideas for that second sign?
yeah,
I could
take-
put mine up at Green Tree Pool. It's just up the street from me. I feel that that's a better spot too. Well, we can discuss this offline.
Well, you have
the
one.
exact
Nancy has
location.
2. So Nancy, if you do put it up at Green Tree, take clippers because they're like zip tie. It's zip tied onto the fence.
So how do you attach it?
Well, the way they did it is it's near the front door, the entry door into the pool, and they just zip tied it onto the fence. So it's the
Oh.
old sign right now, and
You
it's
have to
like
put-
flush against the fence.
I'm
So you'd
not
have to,
sure how
like-
to attach it.
Okay, well, maybe you could give it to Jenny or
Okay,
somebody.
I'll get it from you. Let's
Okay.
just offline. We can
sure.
go back and forth, and I can grab
Sounds
it.
good.
I
Sounds
walk
good.
by the place with my dog every day. Like it's no big deal.
No problem.
And do we have anything about signs? Anybody else want to contribute something before we move to the last item? So the last item, Carrie and Roger could probably speak better about it than I can, and that's the 2 weeks ready program. Be 2 weeks ready is the emergency preparedness program that the state has developed and the city has adopted. Roger or Carrie, do you want to say more about that? No? Okay,
Roger, do you want to jump in on that? It's just, I think this is a reflection. I think this is because of the emergency meeting that Roger and I were in, the emergency preparation meeting. Is that where this is coming from, right, Frederic?
yes.
Okay. What was discussed at that meeting? So Rick, Roger, Chuck, me, Barbara, Betsy on Sunday was in that meeting. And what was discussed in the brainstorming portion of that meeting was that the area reps could recruit someone who might be interested in emergency preparation in Palisades. And the city has this other program called what?
2 weeks ready.
Yeah. And that they would really own that and not the rep, like putting more on the rep. So I think, Roger, you can correct me, but like the talk was like I said, I have someone, he's my neighbor and he's friends with someone in Roger's area. So I was like, you go get that guy and I'll get the other guy and we'll see if we can get them to sign up for it. So I think that's what it came from.
Yeah, and sorry, I was having trouble getting off of mute. Carrie covered it. Yeah, Rick went into quite a bit of detail. This is a new, I'm not sure it's new, but it's a up and revised program. I think it's sponsored at the state level. It's coming out of the Cascadia subduction zone issues, which it's a great idea. And I think that, it's just like anything else. It's hard to get people to pay attention to it until it's too late. And it's also a resource issue. And Rick also talked about CERT training. And there's I think either a CERT class is coming up, and people all get confused. Like, what's this 2 weeks ready versus CERT? 2 weeks ready is like self-help, how to do your own thing and get prepared. Most people aren't even 1 day ready, and 2 weeks ready is now the new standard. It used to be 72 hours, and now they're pushing it out to 2 weeks, which I think it's going to be. People don't even adopt 72 hours. I don't think we're going to get 2 weeks. I'm at a loss. I think we should encourage it, but there's and I talked about this on our phone call on whatever it was Sunday. There's a lot of psychological things about how you roll these things out with people, and I think sometimes if you just make it so overwhelming and so scary, people their minds just turn off. And trying to make it into bite-sized chunks, and also I think that, and Rick also brought up, I think Rick brought up this point that we need to get the city to take on some of the responsibility. Like, if our water system is that fragile that the city is going to say you're on your own, then the city needs to step it up and have a more resilient water system, frankly. And if that's and I think we need to have some better understanding about how resilient our water and our other infrastructures are or not. So, I think if we can, as a neighborhood association, encourage people to step up and advertise this, I don't think there's any harm in it, but I just don't think we're going to see a lot of stepping up and adopting it, frankly, from the people who've already stepped up, frankly. So
I think that's a good point.
and the other thing I would encourage people to do, within your own neighborhood associations or HOAs or just your neighbors on your cul-de-sac or street, is we've done it more on an informal basis, just with neighborhood meetings, and we get together in the summer and trade ideas and stuff, and we have it at our HOA meetings. We talk about it, and in January, just like Frederic, you organized your post-storm meeting here. We had a post-storm meeting in our HOA, and we have one of the things we did was we have now a list of who's got what supplies. We all know who's got what. One person said they just need a gun so they can go get whatever they need now. So, but we also had some of the older neighbors has said, we talked about, can some people just have a list of who checks on whom in the event of these kinds of events? So the older neighbors, we all have assigned, 3 different neighbors have been assigned to each of the people who want to be checked on, help them get out of their house, make sure their, water and whatever is safe and everything. So I think that's this way to handle it, is make it a neighbor, kind of old fashioned neighborhood thing.
Okay, I agree. I've been doing the emergency prep thing for over 10 years, and it's with the neighbors and getting awareness, and it's just such a hard sell.
Yeah.
So
I do think
I was motivated by Rick to get all my water when I first joined this. So I don't know. I think we had I don't know if we could reenact it, but like for every newsletter, if you do
That's what
one
I was
thing
gonna
this
say.
month,
Hey,
do this.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that was like, then
think
it's
that
like,
there should,
oh, go ahead. I was just saying with Roger, that's more incremental. Like for the next 2 months, just try to do this
Yeah.
one task. Like we're ready, but we're not ready for an ice storm. We had to leave. We don't have a generator, so we were frozen here. So I don't know, we could survive a fire, but not an ice storm. So maybe not even a fire because you have to leave. But I'm just saying, like, if we were to have an earthquake in the summer, our family could survive, but knock on wood, but if it happened in the winter, we'd be in a different situation.
And, you know, using the water as an example, you know, I'm a big believer in having, if, you know, those, I've got, you know, 10 or so of those bottles in a 55-gallon drum, but you have to rotate it constantly to make sure it's treated right. And so, you know, a better thing, and I'll follow up with the city water department, is if they can establish water stations around the city. Let's say we lose the water system because of an earthquake. If they can establish water systems, not those straws that you stick in the pond, but like real water systems that are they suck water out of the river or the lake, and then they can treat it locally. And then people come in and refill their 5-gallon or 1-gallon or 2.5-gallon buckets, because even, you know, I have 100 gallons of water. That's like good for a couple of days. That's not going to last very long. And most people have no water. So, and by the way, your water heater doesn't count. So the water heater water is, if you live in the hills, the water heater water is going to be sucked out of your water heater anyway when the water mains break. So everybody
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I-
Well, I
I-
do think, going back to Jenny's point, and like probably something that Roger and we talked in the meeting, is that there is space in the newsletter to just start like
Yeah.
a campaign, like
bite-sized chunks.
yeah,
carrots.
just
Yeah.
like, here, this is something to think about, and always push them to loprep.com. Is that what the website was like? And then lean on the city to also own that, because I think that was what Rick was saying. Like he wants the city to come in and own that content and start being more involved in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. If you can use the newsletter, just say, you know, make it a feature and just make it here, you know, this month, this, you know, whatever interval we have, do this one thing. Just do this one thing. So
Yeah. And also the sign, I mean, the signs, well, we're probably not going to, maybe we're not going to recruit people to be in that program, the statewide program, but like, there can be messages too that we put up there, like for awareness.
So who's gonna generate the content?
It's all I mean, you guys know better than I, like LO or Prep LO or loprep.com, whatever that site is that Rick was talking about. Isn't that what it's called?
yeah.
Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And there's also a state website, because the state's sponsoring this 2-week ready thing. And I think we could probably refer to both. And, you know, maybe those of us that are interested, I'll ping Rick and say, hey, Rick, why don't we come up with a plan to lay out, you know, content for the next several months. And so there's just you know, have a stream of stuff and kind of go from the most, you know, what's the number 1, 2, 3 things you can do, and then you work your way into the list. Because if you just hit people with a list of 40 different things they need to do,
No.
yeah, they turn it off. They just turn off. So
Right.
Yeah.
And
Thanks,
the program, the 2 weeks ready program, Jenny put it up in the chat. You can also just Google 2 weeks ready, and the first couple are from 2018, so you can ignore those, but scroll down to but anyways, it's here, and PrepLO is a good resource as well. They are updating their website as we speak, and there's been a lull for a little while. But anyways, I think getting the content, breaking up the content that's in 2 weeks ready, and I think I forwarded to all the area reps the email that I got from the city that had attachments of the 2 week ready program. Do you remember getting that, Roger? Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe there's something, I didn't open it, but maybe there's information in there that can be used for that purpose.
Yeah, so there's like one person in LO that's already done it, and we should really find out who that person Maybe he's speaking at that
I have been in touch with him and through email, and he's willing to train others who want it.
training's one thing, but recruiting is another. Maybe he can recruit. He has some ideas about recruiting.
Okay. I'm open to all ideas.
Yeah.
You go, girl. Okay, I think that is all I had on my list. Is there anything that anybody else can think of that we should talk about as a group or Rob?
No, sorry, Frederic. I think we covered everything.
Okay. No, I just, sometimes you have all these ideas.
No.
Okay. One last thing, and that is, in terms of running the meetings, last year Jenny proposed that that different people run the meetings at different times. I'm very happy to do that. If anybody wants to step into my seat for one of the monthly meetings, let me know, and that'll give me a break, which is wonderful, and I'm happy to have new energy. So just reach out to me and we'll go from there. You don't have to come up with the agenda unless you want to. I can do that based on what information is heading my way, but everybody's always welcome to, well, you know, because I put out those requests, emailed everybody saying, hey, what do you want to include on in the agenda? So any comments about that?
I'm happy to time keep for anybody too.
Thank you, Jenny. Roger?
I think it's fine. It's an okay idea. But Frederic, I just really appreciate that you chair our meetings and do a great job. So if you ever, have vacation or need a break and someone wants to step in, but if as a vice chair or ad hoc chair, I'm all for it. But I just want to appreciate what you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, well, more and more you guys have made my job easier because everybody kind of does what they say they're going to do and just checks in with me so I know what to respond when others not in our association ask me things, but mostly I refer them back to all of you guys. So I really see this more as a project management position than anything else. Thank you, everybody. I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks,
All right,
everybody.
fantastic. Meeting
you,
one
everyone,
number,
for volunteering.
meeting number one done.
Did
Good night,
anybody
everyone.
capture our
Bye.
votes?
Have a good
Something,
one.
capture what?
Our votes? We voted on things.
Yes, I wrote it down.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Yeah, yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
And thanks for joining, Joe. I know it was late at night for you.